Who would have ever thought that seeing your homeland in Nigeria in the best possible light that you can conceive despite the challenges therein is the mind shift required to obtain the good of the land? If you still hate this ideology which we began to propagate in the last episode, then I'll ask that you would give me one more chance to convince you. So, sit as the royalty that you are and learn to overcome.
3, 2, 1.
Greetings, royalty. Welcome to another episode of the SAVE-TEY Life series of talks designed to set you up for good success. I have been in business for over 15 years, and I have learned a lot and failed also. SAVE-TEY Ventures is a fresh start. Having failed at being successful, I ask that you embark on this journey towards good success with me. I would say that I didn't grow up being taught to hate Nigeria. Neither did I ever understand my surroundings well enough to be able to make sense of what I was going through in terms of the financial stress and more, such as the lack of constant electricity. Anyway, thanks to the likes of Nnamdi Kanu, who was instrumental to helping me over the course of 11 years of his broadcast via radio, which helped me to make sense of a lot of things. His broadcast shaped my thought processes, but at the same time as my personal research to verify all his thought processes deepened, I knew where to stand with him and where not to, lest we repeat the mistakes of the past generation. You would have heard me in previous episodes drop some hints here and there, but in the coming episodes, it's going to be hot, so stay tuned. I know that you would think saying that how in the world does this matter relate to business? And I'll say that you should finish this series to have a proper worldview which the education we received in the metaverse, which is Nigeria, lacks. Meanwhile, there was a time I tried a so-called hardcore Biafran by presenting my thoughts to him to consider the need for a change in our perspectives as a people, and he behaved strangely as though he were about to run mad at the sound of me, saying that we should proceed with care lest we lose lives like before. Then at another time when I spoke to someone about the need to stop these protests since every time it happens the financial landscape of the country tightens, which is the way the powers that be punish us all for the revolt. This person turned to me and said that I should never say this in the public lest I get beaten up by those who love those protests. When I checked all these responses, all I could say is that it's obvious the black and dark future which I've seen cannot be averted. Anyway, these are my attempts to preserve lives like Noah's Ark, and if you don't want to enter into it, kindly stay outside and expect the flood, for the rain is coming. So, in the light of business, based on these responses, I know that many would bear such thought patterns which would stop them from doing business with me. Then I thought that I might as well present it before time so you can choose to hate me and leave, or love me and stay. One thing I realize is that all the adults who survived the last Biafra war all have a bad perspective of Nigeria, which was passed to them through the past generation that were champions of that war. And as a growing child, the broadcasts of Nnamdi Kanu even brought it closer to me, as I began to question those who were older and closer to me about the war, and I learnt that my grandparents were in the bush, hiding from bombs that dropped in almost close proximity to them. One of their children sustained an ear injury which later healed. It was caused by a bomb that detonated in almost close proximity to them. She had lost her hearing due to the sound of the bomb. When I heard these things, I thought to myself there would have been a jungle session in that war, and it was natural to join the Haters Club. But as my research deepened and I understood colonization, slavery, slave trade, world politics, and global business, I just yawned and went to bed. I saw also that Oyukwu was warned by the colonizers before the show began to desist from what he was pursuing, which he went to Aburi to secure with Gowan at Ghana, but as a smoker. He preferred to smoke his people to death with the power of positive thinking while building a bunker for himself only and flying away after his fatal loss, leaving his people in their pool of blood after his failure to deliver on what he had promised them. Therefore, realize that once you understand certain things, it becomes easy to forgive and to let go even though it's hard, but reason will and should overcome sentiments. I chose to accept Nigeria in terms of what it is, having understood that war from a much higher perspective which Nnamdi Kanu cannot articulate. So, whether it's called Nigeria or Biafra or Oduduwa or Arua, it's my homeland. And it's my fatherland, my natural habitat. So, if you think from this perspective, you will choose to see Nigeria as some metaverse that you have to wake up to in order to deal with on a daily basis. And at the right time, I will unpack the context of Nigeria so that we will not repeat that hell of the past in the name of some God factor wanting you to be free and independent. Also realize that the choice to fight a defensive war by the Biafrans, just as the Houthis in recent times dared to attack the English ship on sea with goods to other countries, which affected the undersea fiber cables which helps with internet services, globally paid the price and got shelled while their country got some drops of bombs at night time, it has always baffled me. As I wondered whether reasoning and common sense which should educate such individuals to realize that they are weaker than another person, choosing to submit to them is at, are their brains under their foot. Nigeria is a tool for certain purposes which I won't share now, but when you consider the mind shift which I've just given you now, you will choose to take your eyes off Nigeria and focus on your fatherland too. Build it and make it great, using Nigeria as a pipeline to realize that. See Nigeria of the metaverse designed to accomplish a purpose. Instead of asking for Biafra, develop your villages and territories well, as I've come to realize why 6 million lives were lost. It is not that you sought for Biafra that warranted that massive loss of lives, but because you sought what Biafra implies to those that are mightier than you in every respect. So, ask yourself, what does actualizing Biafra imply? SAVE-TEY Ventures is here to save from another chaos that might be born if care is not taken concerning this new move for actualizing Biafra. For everyday people who have not recovered from the poverty which that war brought upon us all. SAVE-TEY POS system, which is designed to bring them to the realization of their poor financial state so that they can independently see how that, if they can't even afford to utilize our SAVE-TEY POS and focus services to achieve thoughtful goals that will lead them towards financial independence through their daily expenses with this mind shift that has been offered, then it's obvious that they have been chewing the cud of smallness and poverty, as they will continue with it. Realizing the root of the poverty in Nigeria from this light is important. This is because money responds to your thoughts, which fuels your emotions, and when your thoughts and emotions are not right, then that money will not bear fruit as it ought to. For example, you might be abroad sending money back home for a house to be built for you. Then it gets built with the savings you made available, but because your thought processes towards your homeland is shaped wrongly, since you operate through Nigeria, the metaverse. Such a mindset will lead to your house being burnt down if anything should happen in terms of this Biafra actualization and the violence that might accompany the process. So, why did you go through the stress to set up what the last war destroyed for it to be destroyed again by another war? I know in an AMD Ikonu doesn't wish for war, but is willing to go that extent, as he revealed in his broadcasts. All these chaos are fueled by your evil estimation of your fatherland, which keeps attracting the very things that he Nnamdi Kanu listed that has come against the people of Biafra, for which he is willing to war. But if we all realized that we are the cause of whatever that has come against us that is arousing all these matters, just as those of Oyukru's time were the reason for that war, having been endorsed by the ignorance that plagued them, which has continued to plague this generation, it should make us think and act differently, for not all wars are won with guns and bullets. Most are won and even avoided with the right mind shifts, which will fuel the right actions in order to be voiced accurately by our collective lungs. I might have spoken in parable that is beyond you. Anyway, the message is for you to invoke the good in your homeland by estimating it to be good and focusing on mining and refining that good. I know you might be scared that this thought process might lead to NNAMD Ikonu being killed since he is in prison. What you should know is that you need to finish this series to understand what's happening beyond what the eyes can see, thereby strengthening your heart to believe that the colonizers will not take his life, for he and they are one, even as Oyukwu and the powers that be were one. They didn't kill Oyukwu, did they? If they really wanted him dead, why not kill him when they got hold of him at Kenya? Even the creator of Lucifer didn't punish him outrightly, other than cast him into this prison called Earth to be bound in it for a while. I know you are probably angry at the sound of this, but consider the sound of that bomb that defied a young child. Think of that family who while running got squashed by that bomb with their body parts all over the place. How can you do business with these resentments in your heart? You won't last in business. Clarify is here to clean your heart, royalty. Give my words sound as bombs. Kindly receive them, for they are meant to give you life and life more abundantly. Kindly note that the first hour of Clarify is of no monetary cost to you. So far you've gone through this entire series in this playlist. Please do follow the links in the description to learn more. While we know that Clarify can be intense, and that some of you might need more hours to engage in that process, kindly know that where the paid sessions for the second session of Clarify is $90. We will kindly give you 4 hours of the second paid session, which can be spread into different consecutive days at $500 only for international clients, even though you are a Nigerian living abroad. Meanwhile, for Nigerians living in the homeland, you will get 4 hours that can be spread into 4 different days at 1 hour per day at 500,000 naira only. Also, for Nigerians living in the homeland, you can utilize gradual pay through Safety Focus to make your payments before the session begins. I believe this is fair enough for both you and us, as time is a precious asset, and we want to ensure that you who will be on the hot seat will have enough time to think through the process you will partake of in order to arrive at answers that will help us get to know you and your needs accurately, so we can tailor our services to your budget. Before we come to a close for this episode, think upon the following words, which states, we live to do business, we do business to serve kings, and kings reward service unto them with a premium, and this premium is reinvested towards being of perpetual service to them. Serve not the poor, only serve them if they are willing to give up poverty in order to be royalty. Make them kings first before you serve them. Hence Clarify, be free from the chains of the crowd. The crowd will always be in a haste to their waste. Stand out from the crowd to taste and partake of the harvest that good success gives. That good success is also in your fatherland. We love you, and we will continue on seeing our homeland in the best light in the next episode.